Hey, what's up guys, it's Disturbed, and today I'm going to be comparing and contrasting a few guns to determine which gun is the absolute best for PvP. Now before I get into it, I want to give a big shout out to my friend AJ. AJ is a YouTuber that streams every single day for hours on end. He's super entertaining to watch and he's constantly playing with subscribers and just having a good time. He's a really good guy and he deserves way more subscribers than he actually has, so if you guys could go over to his channel and sub to him, give him some support, it would mean a lot and I promise you that you won't be disappointed, so definitely make sure to check out his channel. He's a great guy, really entertaining streams. But anyways, with that said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so like I mentioned before, today we're going to be figuring out what the best weapon is in PvP for damage or burst DPS. In this video, I'm not going to be talking about snipers or shotguns. I'm only going to be talking about fully automatic guns because it's like near impossible to compare a shotgun with a sniper or a shotgun with a G36 or something. So I'm just going to avoid snipers and shotguns completely. But if I were to take into account how the shotguns currently are in the meta right now, yes, they are probably the best gun in the game for PvP for damage if you set it up right, considering the fact that you can literally one-shot somebody, which is just, absolutely ridiculous. But this will probably get fixed in the future, so I wouldn't count on it being overpowered like it is right now. But anyways, like I said before, comparing a shotgun with a fully auto gun is just a complete nightmare to do, so I'm going to stray away from those completely, and I'm just going to be looking at what the best fully auto gun is. So to determine what the absolute best fully auto gun is in PvP, we have to figure out a few things beforehand. First, let's figure out what the best gun is for the assault rifle class, the LMG class, and the SMG class. For the assault rifle class, the best gun is the G36 due to its really high damage output, its really great recoil control, and high rate of fire. Another great gun for assault rifles is the LVOAC, which is an M4 variant, which can be better than the G36, but only if you land all of your shots, which to be honest is really hard to do with the LV because it has like really high fire rate and pretty bad recoil control. But nonetheless, both guns are much better than other assault rifles. So for the AR class, the best I would say are the LVOA and the G36, the G36 being a little bit better. Now taking a look at LMGs, for PvP, the L86 is by far the best one. In PvP scenarios, you want more burst damage as opposed to sustained damage or damage over time, and the L86 has the highest amount of per bullet damage than any other LMG, and the highest fire rate, making it the best in its class. Now taking a look at SMGs, so considering the fact that, the Vector and the AUG got nerfed, that made them kind of useless now, and the T821 and SMG9 are pretty weak too, so they're pretty useless as well. And also, I'm not going to be looking at the MP5 because its firearm scaling is really bad, so that makes that not that great also. So this leaves us with just two SMGs to look at, the MP7 and the PP19. Generally speaking, most people think that the MP7 is much better than the PP19 due to its really high fire rate, but that isn't the full story. As you can see, the PP19 has a base fire rate of 700, which is much lower than that of the MP7. And since burst damage is all that matters in a PvP context, that makes people stray away from the PP19. But all you have to do is put a rate of fire mag and weapon damage mag on the PP19, and that will make it shoot 900 rounds per minute, which is only 50 away from that of the MP7. But something that a lot of people don't really seem to realize is that the PP19 has higher base damage than the MP7 from my personal experience. I could be wrong, and maybe I just got like horribly rolled MP7s and amazingly rolled PP19s every time. But from what I've seen, PP19s always have much higher base damage. And on top of that, if you decide to go with a weapon damage and rate of fire mag on the PP19 so that you don't lose out on that extra burst damage, your magazine will still be able to hold a total of 53 rounds, while if you put an extended mag on the MP7, that would only get you to around 40 bullets in the mag, making the PP19 have an extra 13 bullets. 13 bullets might not seem like a lot, but it actually is a huge deal when looking at burst damage. Being able to shoot 13 more bullets could easily mean the difference between killing somebody or not, and that's also an extra second of shooting, which again doesn't sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it really ends up being. And even on top of that, every single PP19 gets the built-in talent Hurried, which basically increases your reload speed when you land crits. And as you can see, after shooting this target dummy with no mods on my gun, I got my reload speed up to over 120% easily, and that's without a pulse or anything like that. And that extra reload speed can help a crap load in PvP, making you have more uptime on shooting, therefore increasing your damage per second. So considering the fact that you can get the RPM of the PP19 very close to that of the MP7s and having higher base damage, an extra 13 bullets, and the talent Hurried, this makes the PP19 much better than the MP7. The MP7 is still amazing, but for all those reasons that I said before, the PP19 is still better in terms of overall damage. But if we're looking at just burst DPS, the MP7 is like only a hair away from the PP19, it's like 0.5% less. But in terms of sustained damage, the PP19 is way better, and the burst damage is a little bit better, so I'm going to put in the SMG class as the PP19 as the very best one. So that leaves us with the PP19, the L86, and the G36. So now let's compare each of these to figure out which is the absolute best. So just by looking at the built-in bonuses that each gun gets, this tells us that in PvP, the G36 just sucks, or any other assault rifle. With assault rifles, you get built-in enemy armor damage, which is absolutely nothing against players as of right now, while on the other hand, SMGs get a huge crit damage increase and LMGs get an additional damage to enemies out of cover, making them much better than an assault rifle would be in PvP, so that rules out the G36 or the LVOA completely. So now we're left over with the PP19 and the L86. There's lots of things to compare when looking at the L86 and the PP19, and it would be like a huge pain in the ass to verbally explain all the math behind it, so instead I decided to use SkillUp's DPS calculating spreadsheet to determine which gun was better. In the end, with the numbers that I put in and what I thought that was realistic, the PP19 had 389,000 burst DPS, while the L86 had only 275,000 burst DPS, making the PP19 do almost a full 50% of extra damage. The reason the L86 fell far behind was because the L86 has really low fire rate and lower per bullet damage than the PP19, and the extra damage to enemies out of cover and extra headshot damage that LMGs have built in, which is 25%. I don't know if you guys know about that, but LMGs have built in 25%, but even with that, it still wasn't enough to make it better than the PP19. When you're using an LMG, your headshots will end up doing more damage than they would with a PP19, but you aren't going to be landing 100% headshots, and even if you were, the PP19 still has significantly higher rounds per minute, higher base damage, in the end making it much better and making the body shots do more damage than they would with an LMG, making it in the end more valuable. Now, if for whatever reason, if you wanted to, you could put a rate of fire and weapon damage mag on the L86 just like you did with the PP19, which would make it have much higher burst DPS, but still not enough to come close to the PP19. Another quick thing to mention is that the burst DPS is excluding reload speed, which isn't always the most reliable thing to do, because you will often have to reload multiple times before being able to fully kill somebody, and if I were to incorporate the talent hurried into the spreadsheet, that would make the PP19 have almost double the amount of sustained DPS that the L86 would, making it logistically much better. So in conclusion, the PP19 and the MP7 are the two best fully auto guns in PvP. Well, I'd probably put the L86 like behind the Vector or something because it has significantly less burst DPS than the PP19 and the MP7 does, and I'm not really sure where to put it on the list, but that's not what this video about. This video was about figuring out what the absolute best gun was, and that is the PP19 and the MP7. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make this video so people would know what the best gun in PvP is, because I've heard a lot of people saying that it's a L86 because you can get really high headshot crits with it, and a lot of other things, so I just wanted to clear that up in this video. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. If you enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like and share this video with your friends if you did enjoy, and subscribe for videos similar to this one. I'll see you later, guys.